Hello everyone and welcome to Science Lab. The signs are happening because Jesus is coming, and every day we're looking at some of the great signs that are happening around us.
Today, we are going to look at some of the technological advancements in these last days.
We live in a digital world filled with computers, cell phones, and even fitness trackers. Humans now use technology for everyday conveniences by learning how to hack life itself. Microchipping is a popular way to keep track of pets, but would you microchip yourself with a swipe of your hand? It would allow you to unlock doors, turn on lights, and even log on to your cell phone. This is called biohacking.
A man named Chrissy Haseman is implanted with a tiny low-frequency microchip. The process is called biohacking. Science fiction is now reality. Why would someone do this? Haseman says to end the hassle of carrying a security badge at work.
So I'd be swiping this thing every time I went in, and a lot of times I'm carrying a bunch of stuff and it was really inconvenient.
So with just a wave of a now bionic hand, Haseman gets her identity scanned and verified. Carlos Maldonado is chipped as well, but this implant is different. It communicates with his cell phone and other gadgets by simply touching them.
I'm a pretty tech-savvy person, telling me that I could pretty much get onto electronics with ease. I thought it'd be a pretty cool thing.
He can use it to keep his car locked as well. With wireless technology shrinking, microchipping is becoming more mainstream. But getting implanted isn't happening in a doctor's office or even at a hospital. This experience is offered to body modification clients at tattoo and piercing shops like this one.
Noel Garcia is among the people performing this procedure. He says anyone can buy the implants and the syringe from thedangerousthings.com.
Megan is one of growing number of people embarking on high-tech upgrades. This is one thing you could do: keyless home entry.
Amal Grafstar runs the dangerousthings.com company. He says business is booming. It costs about $75 to $150 for the implantation process, depending on the type of chip and where you want it implanted.
The name of the website itself is a sign that it is something that is not safe. The unusual pattern about today's generation is that they are very much attracted to something bizarre, unusual, and satanic.
Colin Krevenko has implanted microchip in both of his hands. Developed in the 1950s and 60s, RFID chips has been used by retailers to track packages and prevent theft. Farmers used the chip to track on their livestock. Pet owners use them to identify the cats and dogs.
Amal has been biohacking himself for the past 10 years, and today he has got 2 RFID chips in his hands. As the founder of Dangerous Things, he sells do-yourself hacker kits. He has sold a few thousand, he says, with interest from the US to Sweden and even up to Japan. He's using the microchip implants to open doors, open his cell phone, and open the door of his car. Apart from that, he is using the implant to start even his motorcycle. Amal's mission is to push RFID from being new implantable technologies to having greater applications beyond just opening doors or storing data. He just made headlines recently in the US with a prototype of the world's first implant-activated smart gun and is a huge proponent for this new technology.
MIT startup Microchips has developed an implantable microchip that contains enough contraceptive to be administered daily for 16 years. The fingernail-sized chip is to be implanted just under the skin in the upper arm, abdomen, or in the buttocks, can also be switched on or off wirelessly.
Each month, a woman on a normal menstrual cycle typically releases a matured egg, can be fertilized in a 24-hour window. Levonorgestrel is a form birth control commonly administered as a pill. It is a synthetic form of progesterone, which is a natural hormone that prevents the release of the egg, among other functions.
What we have seen so far is that some individuals here and there have on their own chipped themselves. But a soccer club in Argentina is providing season tickets through an RFID chip to their fans.
An Argentina soccer club, Atletico Tiger Club, is providing season tickets through a chip that is implanted into a person's arm. Tiger announced its fashion ticket on Twitter in April 25, 2016. The chip person can no need to stand in the queue. The scanner will read the data on the implanted chip, and if the club member is up to date on his payments, will immediately open the security turnstile.
So far, we have seen about the rise of RFID. Don't go anywhere, there's more to come, and we'll see you again after a short break. Welcome back to Science Lab. The signs are happening because Jesus is coming. Before the break, we saw about the rise of RFID chips. Now let's continue to know more. What if human brains had AI implants? Artificial intelligence is everywhere. Our homes, our cars, our schools, and places of work. It's at the tips of our fingers, it's in front of our eyes, and it's wearable. So where, if ever, does it stop? How close to ourselves can our devices reasonably get? Today, we are answering the extraordinary question, what if human brains had AI implants?
AI is useful. It's good at recognizing patterns in data, sorting complex information, and reaching intelligent conclusions. It helps us to search files faster, interpret multiple languages, and execute our daily lives as efficiently as possible. Nowadays, it's increasingly able to replicate high-level cognitive tasks, the like of which we once thought that only humans could manage.
And as we learn more and more about exactly how our brain works, that is, our organic biological brains, these are efforts to try and enhance them using artificial intelligence to improve things like our memory, reaction times, and even our moods. But how is it possible? Various companies are now developing devices that use machine learning software to analyze brain data, with widely used brain's computer interfaces being an end goal for brands like Dream, Think, and Elon Musk's Neuralink. Those all have significant funds behind them, while technology companies like Facebook has also been taken up on the trend, and even the United States military is researching into it. The plans and methods differ from company to company and project to project, but proposed implants all share a common feature at their heart: a means of reading brain data, analyzing its patterns, and using that information to generate signals of its own to bluster out traditional brain activity. From the outset, though, there are concerns mostly surrounding the invasive measures such a device would have to take, as well as for the potential for security breaches, effective brain hacks, and the possibility that intelligent enough implants could one day simply override our standard human brain activity. According to those against them, that isn't a stereotypical sci-fi word. Where is us against the robots? It's one where we are the robots. Perhaps surprisingly, neural implants have been studied to a limited extent since around 1970, where they were used to trigger involuntary movements in insects. 50 years later, though, and it's not at all doom and gloom. In general, the development of brain implants has been done with positive applications in brain. It's hoped that the technology could help toward the treatment of the degenerative neurological disease and the prevention of the foreseeable brain damage. It's said that implants could one day target ultra-specific areas of the brain, meaning they might be able to administer medicines or carry out checks to drastically reduce the severity of diseases like ALS, MS, Parkinson's, or Alzheimer's. In some cases, implants have already been given to patients with these conditions and with positive results. Continued improvement as a healthcare aid, then, and neutral implants would surely be hailed a success. But what if they were then used for more? Beyond battling illness, it is not so far future time implants could also work to optimize healthy brains, particularly regarding the longevity and clarity of our memories. An effective memory chip inside our heads would theoretically mean we had have access to anything we had need whenever we wanted it. Anything we had learned at school, the instructions to set up anything in our homes, the directions to any place we had wished to go, it could no longer fall victim to just being forgotten and would simply be there when required. The same principles would work out for our general mindfulness and even stress levels. There had been zero need to meditate, count backwards from 10 to even take a deep breath if ever we felt irritated, because we had now be able to effectively buy a product and implant to manage all of that stuff for us. As with most of everything else about neuroclips, however, on the one hand, it sounds like this, but on the other hand, it's potentially very problematic because we did no longer need to study or even pay attention to how we feel. We could wind up becoming complacent, lazy, and even neglecting our own emotions. In the worst case scenario, we had be gradually surrendering our self-control to a machine that does it all for us.
It is a worst case scenario, but it's not a happy thought. Should neural implants ever become a standard or even commercial bit of user tech used for more than medical purposes, there's arguably a wider effect on society to consider. Yes, people could wind up living longer and being healthier because of implants, but we could also become wholly reliant on them, which means that any one person or company charged with building, maintaining, or updating them suddenly has a lot of power.
Conspiracy theorists often talk of high-profile and influential figures brainwashing the masses, but in the case where implants widespread, it could be more like brain building. For those against them, it's not quite mind control, but big steps towards it. Feed the tech into militaries around the world, and we would potentially be witness to the rise of the real-life super soldier, where governments can set and implant into the armies anything they wish to improve on. A standard shot per minute reaction rate, perhaps, or a higher degree of ruthlessness in the battle.
Again, when it's pushed far enough, it's a moral, ethical, and practical dilemma. One side says that the soldiers would be better equipped than ever before. The other argues that a purpose-built implants could dehumanize them. Elsewhere, sport could change completely, with chips built to help athletes cope with pressure, the highs and lows of competition, and maybe even fatigue. Esports gamers might have enhanced reaction times too, while video games in general would now be a wholly impressive experience, even more so than they already are, with options of our actual brains to be hooked into the consoles. When neutral implants to be widely implanted, then we could all find ourselves specifically enhanced for our particular jobs, roles, and careers. Our senses tricked, our sleep pattern managed, our ideas organized. In fact, as arguably the ultimate device, brain implants would ever render most other gadgets pointless. We wouldn't need smartphones to check social media if our brain chips were connected to the internet, or tablets to check emails, and we are all safe stored in our heads, or smartphone watches to remind us of anything because we did be in no danger of forgetting it in the first place. Throw all of our collective implant data into some kind of good setup, and we have a hive mind in the truest sense. For some, we had be well on our own way of perfection. Our brains are already amazing structures, but now we had been even more so. For others, though, we had been well on our own way of destruction, or at least to mind-numbing blandness. We had all be good, even great at what we do, but potentially at the expense of our beliefs, personalities, and originality. And with just one breach or glitch of the system, we had all be open to some serious data hacks, where even our individual thoughts are up for grabs. Even today, when a global rollout of implants is still a thought experiment only, there are efforts to update our understanding of human rights so that they include guidelines on the ownership of our own minds. And it's perhaps not difficult to see why. The fear is that if every brain was fitted with an implant, then we could end up losing our ability to choose the way we want to live, our chance to individually make decisions, and over time, our grip on our own free will. And so, were they to be something we had choose to have rather than compulsorily as part of a totalitarian dystopia, then we did surely see plenty of people, perhaps the majority of people, refusing them. A standard biological brain would now be outdated and outperformed by any sporting an implant, but some would struggle to balance the positive with the negatives.
Clearly, as a pioneering healthcare device only, there are few things more exciting, innovative, or promising in modern science, but there are question marks too. These tiny devices built into our bodies would be at the heart of ethical debate for centuries, and that's what would happen if human brains had AI implants.
In the last days, Antichrist will come into this world and introduce a universal mark of the beast. The book of Revelation, chapter 13, verses 16 to 18 says, "He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666.
Never before in the history of mankind has technology improved in this manner. Life has transformed into more than just living. We are about to become one with technology. This AI implants in human brains is a stepping stone for the mark of the beast in disguise. Since it has many benefits and looks sci-fi, many will voluntarily yield to it. Even the elect will be deceived.
Like people use computers and cell phones, no wonder in future the technology will enter into our body, into our brain. What is foretold in the Bible is happening again in our lifetime. These technological advancements show that we are living in the last days. Lord Jesus Christ is coming again very soon. Thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to tune into Science Lab next time.
Before we end the show, we would like to ask you a question. The question is, what is the central organ of the human nervous system? The three options are option A, the heart, option B, the brain, or option C, the veins.
Send your correct answer to our email ID sciencelab@angeltv.org. If you have missed any of the episode, don't worry, you can watch it again in our Science Lab YouTube page. But don't forget to like, share, comment on the video.
Ask your friends and relatives to watch the Science Lab so that they will know that we're living in the last days. Remember, the signs are happening because Jesus is coming.
Maranatha.
Maranatha.